Have you ever wondered about the future of public transportation? Could electric buses be the answer? Picture this. As of 2021, over 425,000 public buses crisscross the roads of the United States. However, only a minuscule 1 to 2% of these are electric. A stark contrast, isn't it? Now you might be asking, why such a small percentage? Well, transitioning from diesel to electric is not as simple as flipping a switch. There are several factors to consider, including initial costs, operating expenses, environmental impact, performance, reliability, public perception, and policy trends. So, are the benefits of electric buses enough to warrant a shift from the tried and true diesel? Or are there insurmountable challenges that make diesel buses the better option? These are the questions we aim to answer in this video. Let's delve into the comparison between diesel and electric buses. The first thing that comes to mind when we think of electric buses is the initial cost. A new diesel bus can set you back about $500,000, while an electric bus can be a more hefty investment, costing upwards of $700,000. But let's not forget the Federal Transit Administration's Low or No Emission Grant Program is lending a helping hand. In 2020 alone, this program provided over $180 million to support the shift towards electric buses. Now, you might be thinking, alright, but what about charging infrastructure? Fair point. After all, these buses need somewhere to recharge. This can add anywhere from $50,000 to $300,000 per bus to the initial cost, depending on the speed of the charger and the complexity of the installation. However, it's crucial to remember that the initial cost is just that, initial. While electric buses may require a larger upfront investment, the long-term savings they offer can more than make up for this. So yes, the sticker price of an electric bus is higher, and yes, the charging infrastructure does require an additional investment. But these costs must be weighed against the substantial long-term savings electric buses can offer, from lower fuel and maintenance costs to extended lifespans. While the initial cost of electric buses may be higher, it's important to consider the long-term savings they offer. Beyond the purchase price, operating costs are a significant factor in the diesel versus electric debate. Let's take a closer look at these costs. First, let's consider fuel. Diesel fuel can cost around $3.50 per gallon. This may not sound much, but when you consider that a typical bus consumes about 20,000 gallons of fuel per year, the annual fuel costs for a diesel bus can be eye-watering, reaching around $70,000. Now let's compare this to electric buses. The cost of electricity for running electric buses can be significantly lower, potentially as low as $10,000 a year. That's a substantial saving right there, every single year. But that's not the only area where electric buses have the advantage. When it comes to maintenance, electric buses require fewer oil changes and brake pad replacements. These differences can add up to big savings over time. In fact, over a 12-year period, you could save up to $125,000 on maintenance costs with an electric bus compared to a diesel one. And let's not forget the lifespan of these vehicles. Electric buses have fewer moving parts, which makes them less prone to wear and tear. On average, electric buses can stay in service for up to 18 years, whereas a diesel bus typically only lasts about 12 years. That's another 6 years of service you're getting from an electric bus, which can translate into substantial savings. So when you add up the lower fuel costs, the reduced maintenance expenses, and the longer lifespan, it becomes clear that the operating costs of electric buses can be significantly lower than those of their diesel counterparts over the long haul. In conclusion, while the initial price tag of an electric bus might be higher, electric buses offer significant savings in operating costs over their lifespan. Another important aspect to consider is the environmental impact of these buses. Diesel buses can emit a hefty 230 grams of carbon dioxide per mile. That's a lot of CO2, a greenhouse gas that contributes to global warming, being released into our atmosphere every day. On the other hand, electric buses produce zero tailpipe emissions. Yes, you heard that right, zero. This can significantly reduce the carbon footprint of our public transportation systems. But that's not all. There's also the issue of local pollution. Diesel buses spew out nitrogen oxides, which contribute to smog and can have harmful effects on our health. Electric buses, however, can reduce these nitrogen oxide emissions by up to a whopping 86% compared to their diesel counterparts. And what about noise pollution? It's something we might not always think about, but it's a real concern, especially in densely populated urban areas. Diesel buses operate at around 75 to 80 decibels. That's about as loud as a vacuum cleaner. Electric buses, in contrast, hum along at a much quieter 57 decibels, which is more comparable to a conversation at home. So when we take into account CO2 emissions, local pollution, and noise pollution, the environmental benefits of electric buses are clear. Let's now turn our attention to the performance and reliability of these buses. When it comes to power, electric buses pack a punch with instant torque. This torque translates to immediate power, giving electric buses the upper hand in acceleration and hill climbing abilities. Imagine a bus that doesn't struggle uphill but rather tackles inclines with gusto. That's the electric bus for you. Moving on to range, diesel buses do currently hold the advantage with 400 to 500 miles on a single tank. However, with new advancements in technology, electric buses aren't far behind, offering up to 250 miles on a single charge. While it might seem like a significant gap, it's crucial to remember that most city bus routes are well within this range, making electric buses a viable option for many transit systems. And what about reliability, particularly in colder climates? There's a common misconception that electric buses might falter in the face of frosty weather. However, real-world testing proves otherwise. Electric buses have been found to perform reliably, even in cold weather conditions. In short, when it comes to performance and reliability, electric buses stand up to the challenge. With instant torque, a range that suits many city routes, and reliability that withstands even chilly temperatures, electric buses are not only reliable but also offer improved performance. What does the public think about electric buses, and what are the policy trends? These are two key questions to consider. In a 2019 survey, a whopping 92% of passengers voiced a preference for electric buses. The reasons? Less noise and less vibration, making for a smoother, quieter ride. And it's not just passengers who are on board with this shift. Major cities are making policy commitments to transition their public transportation fleets to electric. Take New York and Los Angeles, for instance. These bustling metropolises have pledged to fully electrify their bus fleets by the year 2030. That's right, in less than a decade, the sounds of diesel engines could be replaced with the hum of electric motors on these city streets. In conclusion, it's clear that both public perception and policy are leaning towards the adoption of electric buses. The future of public transportation seems to be electric, and it's a future that many are eagerly anticipating. So, what does the future hold for electric buses? Well, the landscape of public transportation is on the brink of an exciting transformation. Upcoming technologies such as solid-state batteries promise to push the envelope even further. These batteries have the potential to increase the range of electric buses by up to 30%, making them an even more formidable contender against their diesel counterparts. Let's not forget the key points we've discussed today. Despite the higher initial costs of electric buses, they prove to be cost-effective in the long run due to lower operating costs and longer lifespans. They are also a boon to the environment, producing zero tailpipe emissions and significantly reducing noise pollution. Moreover, the public perception is overwhelmingly in favor of electric buses, and policy trends are following suit with cities committing to full electrification of their bus fleets. The future of public transportation is electric. The question is, how soon will we get there?